Hi guys, hey, I'm up working up some loads for my 6.5 Creedmoor. I've got that Howa Model 1500 super light rifle I'm really excited about, so I need to get some ammo built for it. So what I decided to work with was 124 grain hammer bullets. They are really long. These are all copper bullets with a hollow nose. Pretty high ballistic coefficient because of their length, but not because of their density. They need to be more dense, but they'll do the trick because they penetrate so well. So what I did, used 43 H4350 powder because it was pretty highly rated in several hunting or reloading manuals. And what I do is I start a lower load for starting load, and then I put the number of grains of powder in each one so I don't mix them up. These are just my pressure testing loads. I'm going to go out and shoot the lightest one and work my way up the scale with the numbers written on it and just see what my readings are on my chronograph. And when everything's looking good, I'll pick the winner, load 3 of those, shoot them for a group, and if everything looks copacetic, I'll come back here and finish building my loads by putting powder and bullets on all of them, and I'll be ready to go deer hunting. Let's go to the range. All right, guys, we're out on the range here with our test ammunition. Now we're testing for pressures and velocities is all. If we hit the target, so much the better. But I just mounted this Swarovski scope on here last night. I bore sighted it, so I hope we're on the paper. It's always a little challenging at 100 yards, but I'm cutting corners as usual. Time is of the essence, and I'm always behind time. But we're going to start with my lightest load, and we're going to be watching for pressures. This is called the starting load. Don't expect a lot of velocity out of it, but we've got the chronograph to tell us for sure. And I'm going to try my new technique picked out by my fans of holding that front end down steady. All right, looks good. Looks like I'm only about an inch out of the bull on that one, and it was real mild recoil. 2,737 feet per second. That suggests just a light load as I knew it was going to be. Yeah, you look at the primer and it doesn't look flat. It's nicely rounded yet. Everything looks good on that. 2737. I want to write that down. Put down the load dosage. I'm not going to tell you guys what it was because I don't want to give out any information that might get me in trouble. Follow the directions in the loading manuals, same as I do. All right. My next one, half a grain more powder in this one. Right by the other bullet hole. Nice. The velocity, 2737 again. Half a grain of powder didn't make much difference. All right, so this is my third load. Not unusual to see that there was no change in that velocity because your velocities vary cartridge to cartridge based on a lot of little different things, but no huge surprise. Now that one went about a half inch higher than the others, but I'm still getting 2737, which started to seem a little weird now. It's like, still no real serious pressure signs on this stuff. Now this load is right at maximum, but I've noticed with these hammer bullets, I can usually easily go a grain over. I'm going to get out there though and check that chronograph and just see if it's maybe not frozen up or something. Never had anything like that happen with it before, but you never know. Worth checking out. Going to do a quick review here. 2737, 2737, 2737. That just seems weird. I'm going to delete that string and start over. See if we get a different number on this one, because this should be more like 2850 or 2900 or something. I don't have the magazine in the bottom of the rifle. Ah, doggone it. Did not record the velocity at all, so something's going on here with either the lighting or the chronograph or something. Oh, it's too bad, but let's just check what that last one did. Starting to show a little flattening in the primer now. Yeah, so I've probably reached my max. Yep. So we'll try to get a close-up of these to show you guys. Starting with the lightest load and working our way up at the difference. I'm going to line those up if I can here without them rolling off the table. Wish I'd have gotten a velocity reading off that last one. I'll have to come back and try a few more. But that'll probably be my load, if it's at all accurate, and it looks like it probably was. Now here's an example of what you look for on your primers for being flattened. So this is my lighter starting load, and as I work my way up in half grain increments, you can see the primer starts to flatten out, and this high load right here, that was the top recommended load, getting pretty flat. These aren't exact indications of pressure, but they're kind of the signs that we hand loaders look for. That and a sticky bolt lift. Now I can also take some measurements of the diameters of the head and the length of the neck when it stretches and certain things, but it's primarily that primer that you're looking at out on the range to get an idea of you're approaching your top loads. Don't go any higher. Pressures are becoming too high. Hey, look at here. Just got 3 more loaded. Now I came down a half grain from my high pressure load. This one looked pretty safe, so that's what I'm going to work with. I just now need my chronograph to work so I can determine exactly how fast these are going. Looking like it should be around 2780 to maybe 2800 feet per second. That's what we're going to find out next. All right, we're going to make sure this chronograph is catching it. What happens with this winter light coming in at a steep slope like this, we sometimes get some erroneous readings or fail to get readings. Sometimes the bullet it glints. It's got so much shine and sparkle on it that when it comes across the light traps, instead of casting a shadow, it projects light reflection down into the eyes and it doesn't catch it. So let's hope that things have changed enough now, so when we turn this on, we're going to get a read. Okay. Hit the delete string one more time. Cross your fingers. All right, here our 3 loads are ready to go. Again, I'm single loading. Hoping for that chronograph reading as well as a group. Looked pretty good on target last time. I have to remember to get into my new position. Squared up to target and holding that forearm down. Oh yeah. I think I'm going to go for the lower left red dot in that target. It should be an inch or 2 higher. Sun shining in my eyes is forcing me to close one. Quite a bit higher, and did I get a reading? No! Doggone it. I think what I have to do, guys, is wait for that light to get off that chronograph, because I do need to get a velocity reading to run my trajectory tables. I think we're going to be grouping just fine with this. This rifle is pretty much grouped everything the way I like it. Those last shots were, even though I had different loads in there, those were looking good. So I am now 2.5 to 2 3/4 high. That should be good. That's where I'm going to want my setting. I'm still consistently 3/4 of an inch to the right, so I'm going to come back left. These are quarter clicks on this European scope. So that, 3 should do it. So I'm going to cap that. I'm just going to wait a bit here for this light to change. I hope there's nothing else wrong with that chronograph. These little light trap chronographs, the way they work is to read the shadow of the bullet going over it. So if you have consistent light coming down into the eye that shines up from the top of it, the bullet crosses the first one, starts the timer, crosses the second one, turns off the timer, and then they have a computer in there that does the math to calculate, based on the distance between the two light traps, what the velocity was. And for some reason it's not working. It's usually worked great for me, but I don't know, maybe it's too cold, I don't know what's going on. Okay, the light is off the chronograph now, so it should just be seeing clear sky overhead. Cross my fingers here. Hope to get reading. It'd be better if I could get 2. Would be easier if I'd have remembered my magazine. All right. Nice. That bullet is 1 too high. Still a ½ inch to the right. And still no reading. Oh, darn it. What the hay is going on? I'm wasting all my ammunition with no readings on this chronograph. I don't know. I don't think it's the battery. It's just because the little flash battery is going weak. Now, one trick is to darken the bullet. I might do that. I've got a ink pen in here that I can blacken that bullet with. That'll sometimes do the trick. Got my magical marker here. Take the glint off. So I'm just going to mark this bullet all black. See if this old trick works for me. In the old days I used to just smoke it with a candle. Get the black ash on it. Worked pretty well. That might help it see it because it's black now. Last chance. Love it to read 2800. 2737 is the first read I got with my lightest load, so I should be up higher than that by now. Hit my other hole. Hit my last hole. Still no reading, doggone it, but this load is working beautifully. What I can do now is test the drops at distance. I'll run a trajectory table based on my estimate of 2,800 feet per second for my velocity. And then I can double check that against what the drops would be predicted. So I'll shoot it out at, we'll say 150 yards. That should show me my peak elevation. Then I'll shoot it at 300 yards and get my drops for an average. And that will give me a pretty good idea what my actual ballistic muzzle velocity is. So that's how you get your rifle ready for deer hunting or anything else once you've worked your loads up like that. And then we'll show you what happens when we take this thing out into the deer woods. Given that I'm consistently a ½ inch to the right, I'm coming left. 2 more clicks for a ½ inch movement or a ½ minute of angle. And that should just about do me now. I'm consistently 2 inches high on those last 2 shots, and I was a ½ inch higher than that on the previous one. So I could also come up 2 clicks. I'd like to be 2.5 to 3 inches high. That should about do it. All right, we'll do a little bit more work tomorrow if the weather's good, and finish off fine-tuning this thing. These were my first 4 shots using 4 different loads of powder. Good consistency. I mean, I've got an MOA group right there. So I took my second fastest or second most stuffed load, not the top load of powder, and that's what I worked these 3 up and shot this group. But I still don't know my velocity. That's what's missing. But this is a sub MOA group getting down around 3/4 of an inch. So, oh man, I made my last adjustments, and I should be right about here for my next shot. So tomorrow I'll work on it some more and try to get a good reading on it, and we'll see what we can do. See, I'll probably show you a little bit more tomorrow. Hi team, got a much colder day today, and I also have a chronograph that still is not working. I just tried a shot over it and it registered nothing once again. But I have got 3 loads worked up with my top safe load, and I'm guessing they're going around 2,800 feet per second. So what I'm going to do
is shoot at 300 yards, 3 shots, get the average drop at 300 yards, and then I'll use that to extrapolate. I'll look at the trajectory tables and I'll tweak them and adjust them until it shows me what velocity I need to reach that drop based on the BC of the bullet. Kind of going at things backwards, but it gives you essentially the right information. You just need to know what your actual drop is at 300 yards. And here we got 3 mule deer walking between the 50-yard target and the 100-yard target. See you guys. Doe and 2 fawns that live around here. So 300-yard shots. I'm gonna have to make some adjustments here. Come up about to there. So let's get that done. About right there. You deer, go on out of here. You don't need to be around here when we're shooting. Ooh, that looks about right. I'll mark this baby down. Now, I noticed in some of my videos from yesterday that I was hitting the swivel stud. I'm going to leave my sling on here because that's what I'm going to be hunting with. And as long as I pay attention, I don't think I'm going to mess up my trajectories here. Tweak my parallax. Nice. Yeah. All right. Get some earplugs here, even though we should be in good shape with that muzzle brake on there. More is always better. Yeah, I don't know what went on with that chronograph. It served me well for many years. I gotta remember my new straight on position here. And now that I know how well this rifle groups, I'm going back to my field shooting technique, which is to have the front end kind of floating on my sticks. I'll tweak all of that stuff later. I'll try some sitting positions and whatnot, but I think this will suffice. Looks like that guy's about 3 inches low. I checked the chart, and if it was going 2,800 feet per second, it would be about 4 inches low. Although these might be closer to 2,850. But boy, 3 inches of drop at 300 yards, pretty sweet. Looks like it's right by the other one. If it is, that's pretty impressive stuff. I got this thing cranked up to 18 power. I'm getting a pretty good look at that. Yeah, I'll have to march out there to see for sure, but looking impressive. I'm liking what I see. Now, got the barrel nice and warmed up. Yeah, still cool. Still cool to the touch up there. Does look like I might be shooting an inch to the left. So I might have to dial that back a touch. No wind out here. Felt good. Yeah, I think I've got a sub-MOA group out there, but I might be seeing things, so I think we're gonna walk out there. Another 300 yards uphill should do me good, eh? And let's just see if we can confirm things, then we'll go check out a ballistic chart, but I think we're about ready. This will be fun. Yeah, why don't you come along with me? I'll grab that camera and we'll go on out there. Try not to scare any deer on the way. See what that target looks like. Here's my path out to the 100 yard. There's the 150 behind it. And then the 300 way out there. So we got a ways to go. Just wanted you guys to appreciate how far I'd had to go here. We're getting closer, guys. The deer have left. The target's still here. Oh, look at this, guys. Is this sweet or what? Look at that group. That's the 1.5 inches. It's the inch here. 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. That's at 300 yards. This is the half MOA. What are my average drops? 1, 2, 3, 4. right about exactly right. So I think my guesstimate at 2,800 feet per second fits my trajectory tables that I've built. We're calling it good. Now, there was no wind, so I am over a good 2 inches average, so I need to dial back an MOA about, not quite, about 3/4 of a minute of angle to come back, and then I should be dead on. Wow, 300 yards, 4 inches to drop, and what a group. That rifle is absolutely amazing. Well, what I'm going to do then is make my final adjustments, take a couple more shots before I go deer hunting just to make sure I'm on. I'm going to wait till I get there just in case there's any bumps along the way. But I should be ready to go and handle deer out to 300 yards, and I'll check my charts and I might be able to go to 350 with it. But I'd like to think I can stalk closer than that. So thanks for watching. That's the 6.5 Creedmoor in that Howa super light rifle, under 6 pounds. I gotta weigh the thing right now. That Swarovski scope added quite a bit of weight to it, but I think that thing comes in at 4.5 pounds or 4.75 pounds naked. It's just amazing how well that thing shoots for as light as it is. Golly, I think I'm in love.
Okay, guys, I want to show you how I can use a ballistics calculator, and you can too, to determine your muzzle velocity if your chronograph isn't working. So you just need to come close. So first of all, you need to know the ballistic coefficient of your bullet and whether that number is given to you as a G1 or a G7. Here's your G7, there's your G1. I happen to have the information on the BC in G7 numbers for the Hammer Hunter 124 grain 264 inch diameter bullet for my 6.5 Creedmoor. It's 229. Okay. There's the weight of the bullet, 124 grains. Here's my guesstimated velocity, and I base that off of what sort of the standards are for the 6.5 Creedmoor, plus one reading I got from my chronograph before it went on to Fritz at 2737 with a starting load of powder. I worked my way up watching for pressure signs and thought, well, this is what I'm going to use, but I don't know how fast it's going. Let's guesstimate I got it up to 2,800 feet per second. Run my trajectory charts and see if my bullet drop matches. So I zeroed at 250 yards, which calls for being about 2.75 inches high at 100 yards. That's, I think, what I guesstimated it at. So we're going to run these numbers. You don't have to worry about your shooting angle, wind speed, and all that for now. Create the atmospheric corrections. I adjust my altitude to 5,000 feet because that's close to where I am right now. But it also works quite well going up to 10,000 feet and down to sea level. There's really not that much difference in your drops and drifts at reasonable shooting distances, like 400 yards max, maybe 5. Temperature, of course, that's going to change things a little bit, and you never can predict exactly where it's going to be when you're hunting. So my chart range, meaning how far out am I going to run my numbers? 600 yards in 25-yard increments, small enough. Hit the create a graph, and here we go. So as you can see, all the details are right here. But down the range chart, 100 yards, almost 3 inches high, 2.95. And that means I'm peaking in my trajectory at around 150 yards, 3 1/3. That's not much. Put that on the side of a deer, and if you're 3.3 inches above your aim point, you've still got him in the lungs. If you're that much below your aim point, you've got him in the heart and or lungs. So that's what I am allowing for my max ordinate, the peak trajectory above my line of sight at 150 yards. That means that at 200 yards, I'll be 2 1/4 or 2.5 almost high. No big deal. At 250, I'm dead on. And at 300, I'm 3.86 low. That's what my trajectory chart tells me to expect. So when I did that on the range, I shot at 300, and my 3 shots averaged just about exactly 3.86 inches of drop. That tells me that I have guessed the proper velocity. What if I had guessed incorrectly? Let's say I thought it was 3,000 feet per second that I was getting out of that load. Ooh, that would be sweet. What happens if I put in 3,000 for my velocity? Where does that predict with my 250-yard sight in that I should be? And 300-yard drop then should be 3.32. So about a half inch less. Not a huge difference either way, but this tells me that because my drop was 3.86, not 3.32 on average, that I probably am closer to an actual muzzle velocity of 2,800 feet per second. And that is how you use a ballistic calculator to come pretty close to nailing your muzzle velocity. So I hope that works for you guys. See you next time on Honest and Shoot Straight.